Good morning. Thanks, Tim, for the great start to the morning, and welcome to our forum visitors. Interesting to see the technology in action with a worldwide broadcast in the UK, not just the people in the room, so thanks for that. I'm going to talk for 5-10 minutes just about kind of our experience and one of the reasons that we think that INSTANDA and tools like it are kind of fundamental to the ability to change fast within the insurance sector. So just kind of 30 seconds on why we call, well, fast track is within LV. So we're a large mutual insurer in the UK. We've changed an awful lot in the last 7 or 8 years. There's been a huge amount of company growth. And actually, when I joined the company, I would say we were very dynamic and very innovative, and there was a massive turnaround from what was a not brilliant market position at the time. But over the years, in the last 6 or 7 years, which is testament to how quickly legacy can arise within an organisation, we became slower and slower at delivering change rapidly. And that change, the urgency of change, was becoming more and more prevalent. So, without labouring it, I ran for quite a while the whole development function within LV, which was growing to, we're largely internalised development. But I found actually, even as a position of leadership, you couldn't make any change. You're just too tied up with the day-to-day. So we realised we had to do something different and take out that challenge to change and move and work differently and put it into a separate function. So I was asked to lead the fast-track innovation function, which we thought we could make more progress in changing not only the way we delivered things rapidly, but also the way that we thought about change within the organisation. Okay. So we were targeted on doing 2 things when we started. One was to accelerate some of the things that we had on the strategic agenda. By that I mean those things which I'm sure all of you would recognise that circulate around the bottom of your strategic list of must-haves from the board, which you never quite get round to, that are always on the next year because you run out of money, you run out of resource, the heavyweight waterfall processes that govern your big projects make everything take a long time and cost a lot of money, and the things that clog up the top half of the agenda are repeatedly coming in. Even though you don't think they'll be there next year, there's always more regulation, there's always more pricing change, there's always more essential change. And to the core systems and the legacy and the processes we apply to doing those, it just burns up the available money really, really quickly. So there's a bunch of things on that strategic agenda. And what we were challenged with is, if we just start looking at some of those and say, can we do some of that really differently? Could we look at a different process, look at different tool sets, look at different ways of working together? Right? And my key point in terms of any recommendation of success in doing that is that you've got to do all of those. Right? It's no good just going out and looking at a new tool set. It's no good just trying to adopt agile methodology. You've basically got to combine all of those together. You've got to work very differently, and the key word there is collaboration. So the second thing that we had as an objective within Fast Track was actually to accelerate things onto the strategic agenda. So that is taking some of those things that we weren't previously looking at, that we hadn't even started thinking about, and saying, you know what, we really ought to have a look at this, because some of the opportunities that are going to be out there by embracing some of these new mediums or market challenges are going to be really important to us. And if we don't start thinking about it, we're not going to be as successful as we could be as a company. So in the first 1 or 2 years, we took a number of those things, some of which, Tim, funny enough, mentioned broker portals. We'd been arguing for a couple of years about wanting a portal for our brokers, a single place to get stuff and make it more efficient. We had a bunch of old things we hadn't changed very much, and they were very scattered across the marketplace. So we started building, we looked at it in a very different way, and we put a bunch of people into a room and said, okay, we've got 15 days, let's see what we can do. If we can't do it within 15 days, let's decide, yes, we were right, it is really expensive. And we proved by working very rapidly and very collaboratively with the business that you could start doing things really differently. And we brought in a new tool set, and we happen to use a model-driven environment called Mendix, which helps us to really build stuff very quickly. And then we went on to some more ambitious products. We went on to build some actual policy management systems. So we avoided our legacy systems and we built our own policy management system. And we did that in about 6 months. Right? And we thought we were doing really well, actually. And so we were now in a position, and this is a very condensed story, so bear with me, but we were now in a position where we could say, well, we could launch a new product in about 6 weeks development effort, which was probably down from sort of 18 months of debate, let alone any build in a standard project. Or at the best, in a small project, it was 18 months, 2 years, and several £1 million. We were now down to, we can build something by tailoring what we built with about six to 8 weeks of 2 or 3 people doing some configuration and build. So in that context, people were quite pleased with that ability. And then I came across INSTANDA and the offering that they had of a kind of policy system out of the box with configuration only. And some people said to me, well, why do we want that? You've already kind of moved on here. Why are we doing that as well? We can't have too many different things in the organisation. And I actually looked at it as a very different type of proposition, because what we were able to build, and where we chose to build it, was very bespoke, experimental stuff that we wanted to try in the market that is unlike any other insurance policies. In some ways, some of the early stuff we could probably have done with a product like INSTANDA, actually, but we were looking at that for the really bespoke stuff. But to churn out yet another one with even 6 weeks development effort, and then have the responsibility of running that in the long term afterwards, was less attractive than the idea of doing a purely configuration-based, just set up your parameters and do it. And the development component of the build in INSTANDA was actually way lower than 6 weeks. So in terms of physical man days that we would have put into it. So we kind of thought, well, actually we should look at this and look around the business and see what opportunities that gives us. And actually went back to our broker division and we looked at several different opportunities and said, well, actually there's a couple of product sets that we're managing here that we didn't actually have on our agenda to do at all, but they're quite difficult for us to manage, very manually based policy systems. And if we can genuinely do this, so it was genuinely an experiment, if we can really go out and do this for this little money and that little time, then it would be it wouldn't have made it onto our even accelerated delivery platform, frankly. We just wouldn't have had the appetite to take it on. But because we thought we can experiment, see whether this will work in even less time, with even less ongoing responsibility, albeit with the SaaS-based services run cost, which is in a slightly different model, we definitely thought that was worth giving it a go. And I have to say our experience has been pretty positive. It's taken us a lot longer than we thought it would do. It hasn't actually been more expensive in the main than we thought it would have been, because we've been working collaboratively to add some features to the core of the INSTANDA platform. But our experience of trying to work in a configuration-only and deliver a product without having any responsibility for that ongoing development and maintenance in a very lightweight way, in the same model that we would have used if we'd built it ourselves, I have to say has been pretty positive. So we've worked pretty collaboratively. We've had our ups and downs, worked pretty closely as a team, and some of the guys who've worked on it are in the room today, actually. I think our biggest challenge has actually been still adapting our corporate processes to the idea of the speed that the IT can be delivered. And I think that's probably my closing message, that we're kind of heading to a world where IT isn't actually the problem. We are. The problem is corporate process, corporate legacy, and I don't mean the technology. I mean our practices, the way we think, the way we approach stuff, our ability to experiment, and our willingness to take risks. And I would say in this day and age, we've actually got to embrace all of that and try and take advantage of these capabilities. The technology's the easy bit. It's about changing the organisation that you need to take on the chin. So thanks very much for listening. Hope that was somewhat informative.